2014 Toyota RAV4. This is an XLE, all right? All-wheel drive. Gonna do front brake pads and rotors. First thing you need to do is jack it up and support it properly, and then remove the front tires. The lug nuts are 21 millimeter. And once you get the front tires off, then you need to remove your front calipers. And the front calipers are held on by two bolts, one here and one here. These are caliper bolts. This is a 14 millimeter head bolt. You need to remove both of these. Next you need to do is remove your caliper. So just go ahead and wiggle it back and forth and pull it off. Sometimes you might have to stick a little screwdriver in there between the pad and the piston and push the piston in just a little bit so you can get your rotor, your caliper off of there. I'll just stick it in there a little bit. A little bit too long of a screwdriver, but just want to pull on just a little bit. It'll be good. And it comes right up. All right. Next, what you want to do is you want to go ahead and inspect your piston and your boot. Make sure it's not leaking any fluid, being wet, or the boot being cracked. Other than being rusty and nasty looking, it's okay. All right, so go ahead and set that in the back. We'll push that piston in a little bit. Next we need to do is remove our caliper bracket. And it has two 17 millimeter bolts in the back, one here and one here. So we'll remove those next. Here's your caliper bracket bolts, 17 millimeter head. And here's your caliper bracket. You need to remove the pads, and then the abundant clip hardware that goes into the caliper bracket. You need to remove those also. Those go right in here. See how rusty and nasty that is underneath them? You need to clean that all up so the new ones will sit properly. You know, when things rust, it expands, and then what it does is it tightens up on the pads, and the pads won't be able to move back and forth properly. And also, caliper slide pins, make sure they're not frozen. These are a little bit stiff, but we're going to take them out and we're going to clean them up, and then we'll put some Seal Glide on the pins and then push them in there. Make sure you put some Seal Glide on the boots, all right, to help seal them. Sometimes if the boots don't come off the pins, you got to stick a little screwdriver underneath it and remove them, because they build up full of rust and it causes them to stick. And once you get these things all cleaned up, you can go ahead and paint them. All right, I cleaned up my caliper my pad area, my caliper bracket. Now all I need to do is paint it, let it soak, let it dry. And also I pulled out my pins, had to use a screwdriver to pry underneath. You get the boot off. It gets full of rust. See how that is? That's all full of rust. Clean it all up. To get inside that groove, I'll use a hacksaw blade and a wire wheel. All right, here's my pin. Got it all cleaned up. Go ahead and roll it in some Seal Glide. And then stick it in there. And as you stick it in there, you want to twist it. All right, do not pack this with Seal Glide. You won't be able to push them in. All right, so just get them in there, and make sure you got some lube that goes on your pin where the boot goes, and then you're all set. Boom. That's it. And let your paint dry. And then you can go ahead, after it dries, you can go ahead and put your hardware on it. And also you want to get your anti-rattle clips on your pads. This is your inner pad. Inner pad. It's not here, it's there. So put the anti-rattle clip here. Okay, same thing for the outer pad. Goes here, okay? So we'll let that dry. We'll come over here to the rotor and we'll remove the rotor, and then we'll have to clean the hub up from underneath it. I'll put a lug nut on there. You gotta hit it with a mini sledge. Just like that. Now we can remove it. We'll have to clean the hub up. Here's the hub, all rusty and nasty. Need to get that all cleaned up and get it nice and shiny, because you don't want any high spots on it, because if you have a high spot, it causes the rotor to wobble, and then it'll give you a brake pulsation through your brake pedal, and that'd be no good. You're not gonna like it. So clean the hub up, and then put a little bit of anti-seize around on it, light film all the way around on it. And then when you get your rotor, you can go ahead and wash your rotor with soap and water. Remove the shipping oil, and then you can put it on there. And then you can go ahead and assemble. All right, here's my hub. Got it all cleaned up. This is what I used. Get these at Amazon. And then I also used a 3-inch sandpaper disc. And I did it like this on the sides a little bit, like that, to get inside there best I can, and then like that. And sometimes you can use a flat blade screwdriver, like a little scraper. Nice new sharp one will work pretty good. All right, so I'll put that light film of anti-seize on there, and then I'll put my rotor on. Okay, got my bundle clip hardware on there. Next I can do is go ahead and install it and snug up my bolts. Got my rotors on with the anti-seize below it. I'm all set. And yes, I do have a pair of vice grips on there, just lightly, just to keep the rotor from sliding off. You can use a lug nut also. Okay, the caliper bracket bolts, torque is 79 foot-pounds, okay? So now we got that done, we can go ahead and put our pads in there. All right, we're doing our outer pad first. We'll put them in at a little bit of an angle. Get them in there like that. A little bit of a pain in the butt, ask me. Let's see. Got the bottom in, and then I get the top over here. Get lined up. Push that baby down. And then push it in there. That don't look too good. Yeah, that's it. That's it. It's in there. Do the same thing with the inner one. Get yourself a light so you can look in there, put it at an angle, get it in there, and then make sure you push on that spring, and then push the clip down. This is the spring. Push it in, and then push it in with the pad, and then push the clip down as you're pushing the pad in. Just make sure you get a light so you can see what's going on in there, all right? And the next we can do is go ahead and push our pistons back in on our calipers. And also make sure that your lines don't have any cracks in them. If they're cracked, then you need to replace the brake line. All right, I got the piston pushed in with my ratchet tool. If you don't have this tool, then use an old brake pad with a C-clamp. And when you're pushing them in, make sure these are not pinched, so it will restrict the flow of the return of the fluid. Okay, you got your caliper on, got your bolts started, snug them up, and then you want to tighten them up to 25 foot-pounds. Make sure that this line is not twisted. Make sure it's a clean shot. If it's got a loop in it, then you got to take it off and flip your caliper because you want this line straight. All right, so once you got these torqued, then you can go ahead and remove your vice grips. They were just on there just a little bit, you know. No big deal. Okay, so this is all set. Do the other side exactly the same way. Pay attention to your inner and outer on your pads and where the spring goes. Anti-rattle clip. Make sure you install that rattle clip because that pad will go cook when you're backing up and driving forward. Okay. All right, so now you can put your wheels on. You can torque them to, I think, 90 foot-pounds. I think it was 76, but I always go 90. But anyway, so once you got both sides done, you got your wheels on and torqued, go ahead and lower it down to the ground. Go inside the vehicle, start it up, push your pedal to the floor a couple times, and make sure you have a decent firm pedal because you want to have that before you put in drive reverse. If you do not do that and you put in drive reverse, you'll have no brakes and you'll back in there or drive into something. All right, and then just verify your fluid level in your reservoir, and that will be it. And hopefully I helped you out with this video. And hopefully you can help me out by subscribing, and good luck. Thank you.